I know I'm going to have a lot of sellers that are going to completely disagree with this video, but I'm going to do it anyways. All right, so this video, I want to touch on 6 reasons why private label is better than retail arbitrage on Amazon. Now, the best thing about selling on Amazon is there's so many ways to find products, whether that is going out to thrift stores, going to retail stores, doing retail arbitrage, online arbitrage, wholesale, whatever it is, private label. There are so many different ways to get products to sell. I know some sellers that are successful doing one, successful doing both, and some that do it all. So I really think it depends on you, what you prefer to do, but this is going to be a video about why I think that retail arbitrage is not as good as private label. I think one of the biggest things with retail arbitrage is that it has a bigger risk. People don't talk about this as much as they should. You might run into an item that you are buying one of and you end up getting an inauthentic claim on your Amazon account, or maybe you buy the product, you've been selling it for a while, and then that brand decides, you know what? We don't want anyone else selling those products, and so they're going to gate sellers in it and only give permission to certain sellers to sell that product. Now, back to the inauthentic products, that actually happened to us, and I'm going to be doing a huge video once we get this mess cleared up, but it has been in the works. For 5 years, we have been dealing with this one Amazon account that we opened. So it's going to be a video. Make sure you are subscribed because you are not going to want to miss that video. If you're buying a one-off product and you buy it from a retail store, let's say you're going to Walmart and you buy a certain, let's say, sunscreen that you can buy for $5 and it's selling for $30 on Amazon. So no brainer, you're going to make money on that. But if you're buying certain things like electronics are big and it gets flagged as an inauthentic item, that could cause your account to get suspended. And when you are trying to fight that suspension, you're going to need to prove to Amazon where you source that product. You need an invoice from a reputable supplier showing Amazon that you bought an authentic item and that was a mistake. With private label, you don't have to worry about invoices because you are going to have an invoice. You're buying in bulk, you're vetting your suppliers, they have a website, they have a storefront, they have everything that they need, certifications, and those are some of the things when you are doing private label that you need to make sure that you're looking at. When you're looking for a supplier, make sure that they have an actual business license, no matter what country they're in, and they have the appropriate certifications that you could submit to Amazon if they ever question the item that you're selling. So with private label, I feel like we have a lot more security because we have that proof. Next up, retail arbitrage is a lot more time consuming. It is a grind. You have to feed the beast. You're finding one-off products. A lot of times, people use lead groups, or maybe it's an item that they found in store by scanning, and then they're going to go out and they're going to drive around to all the Walmarts and try to find that one product. With private label, sit in my own home, have a drink, search on Jungle Scout, look for products, contact suppliers. And then when you are doing private label, it becomes a well-oiled machine. Right now, we don't spend that much time on private label. The only thing we're doing now is we are monitoring our stock. When we run low on certain SKUs, we build a pallet, we ship in the pallet into Amazon because we store all of our private label products on premises, at our house, in our outbuilding. And so that's really one of the major things that we do, which doesn't take that much time. You just log into the account, look to see what the stock levels are. And it does take some time to build the pallet. It takes us a couple hours. And then we have to sit around and wait for them to pick up on the day that they're going to pick up. We also are running pay-per-click. So that is something that we have to monitor per day. And then also doing more private label product research to add more SKUs to our catalog. So you get to a point with private label where you go from spending a lot of time doing product research and trying to find a brand and trying to find a supplier to having a supplier, and really it becomes more streamlined than with retail arbitrage, where that is more time consuming and you're just constantly chasing the product. With retail arbitrage, you are not going to be the only person selling that item unless you are lucky and you find an item that nobody else knows how to get. 9 times out of 10, when you're doing retail arbitrage, you are not going to be the only seller on the listing, which then that can fluctuate the price. You might not always have the buy box. The price might start decreasing and people have the race to the bottom. And what once was a product that was selling for $35. Now there's all these sellers selling it for $25. With private label, you are the only person selling that product. And with us, we trademarked our brand. We own the brand. We are the only ones that are going to sell that particular product. We're the only ones on the listing. We have more control over it. We have control over the photos, the bullet points, the price, everything like that. So I feel like that definitely is a pro with private label. When you're finding retail arbitrage items, maybe the Walmart that you're going to is starting to dry up. Maybe they don't get as many good items anymore. Maybe there's too much competition and those items are getting swooped up before you even have a chance to go in and buy them. So competition can definitely affect where you're sourcing, or just your store in general. Maybe it's not going to have as many clearance items. Maybe they're going to take all those clearance items and ship them to a different store, and then that store is going to now have more clearance items. So with retail arbitrage, your source where you're sourcing is not guaranteed to be consistent. With private label, you're using the same supplier every time you need to do a reorder. So you get into a routine of, okay, I know that now that these products are down to 100 units that we have at the warehouse, we know our supplier is going to take X amount of days. It's going to take X amount of days to ship, to get checked into Amazon, or to get shipped here to our property. So we have a really good idea of logistics when it comes to ordering. Now, retail arbitrage on Amazon, this is kind of like people have different opinions about it. Some people say that retail arbitrage on Amazon isn't a real business. I do think it is a business. You are building up something that is making you money. A business makes money. Retail arbitrage really isn't long term. You have to constantly be finding the product. You're just adding inventory. You're not building something that down the road you could sell off. With private label, you're building a brand that down the road will prove to be successful, that it makes X amount of dollars per month. That's your revenue per month. And there's certain companies that actually will buy your Amazon brand for 7 to 10x. So I feel like with private label, we're building something that down the road we could either sell, or maybe that brand we could put in a sticks and bricks store. So it's something that to us is a lot more long-term. It gives us a feeling of security. Private label brands to me are more of an asset than having just a retail arbitrage account where it's just one-off items and you don't actually own the brand. Now, the last thing, which I always worried about with retail arbitrage, what if all these brands start catching on, or they don't want anybody selling their products on Amazon? Maybe there's a particular brand you've been selling and it's doing great, but all of a sudden, you just bought 100 units, but now they decide that they want to be the ones that sell on Amazon. They don't want anybody else selling. You run the risk of you're depending on other brands to sell their products. So you don't have a lot of control if a brand were down the road to restrict who is selling that product. With private label, like I said before, you trademark the brand and you are the owner of the brand. That gives you a lot of stability. In the end, I think both are very good ways to make money on Amazon. Let me know your thoughts about retail arbitrage and private label. Do you do both of them? Is there another way that you source your product? Do you do wholesale, online arbitrage? Let me know. I'm always interested to hear from other sellers. And until the next video, I'll catch you on the flip.